Let's create modern Glassmorphism designs using CSS backdrop filter. First, we will set up the HTML structure for a Glassmorphism demonstration. Create the basic HTML document structure. Link the external style sheet file. Add a background container with animated pattern for visual effect. Create a glass navigation bar with logo and menu items. Create the main content area with glass elements. Add a primary glass card with description and button. Create a statistics container with 3 glass statistic cards. Add a glass modal with action buttons. Finally, add a glass footer to complete the page. Now let's create the CSS file to implement Glassmorphism effects. First, define CSS variables for consistent glass effects. Set the base blur amount for glass effects. Define the base opacity level for translucent elements. Create standard glass border with subtle white. Define shadow for depth and floating effect. Set the base translucent background color. Add the accent colors for highlights. Style the body with dark background and proper font settings. Ensure full viewport height and prevent horizontal scrolling. Create the animated background container for visual depth. Fix the background to cover the entire viewport. Place it behind all other content. Style the background pattern with animated gradient. Create gradient using accent colors for visual interest. Add continuous animation for dynamic background. Define the keyframes for background animation. Start and end with initial position and rotation. At halfway point, move and rotate for dynamic effect. Style the main content area with proper spacing. Limit maximum width for better readability. Add top padding for fixed navigation bar. Use flexbox for vertical layout with gaps. Implement the glass navigation bar with backdrop filter. Fix the navbar to the top of the viewport. Ensure it appears above other content. Use translucent dark background for glass effect. Apply backdrop blur for frosted glass appearance. Add subtle bottom border for definition. Style the navigation container and logo. Use flexbox for horizontal layout with space between. Create gradient text effect for the logo. Apply gradient to text using background clip. Now we style the navigation menu and links. Style navigation links with hover effects. Add smooth transition for interactive states. Create hover effect for navigation links. Add subtle backdrop blur on hover for enhanced effect. Now implement the main glass card component. Use translucent white background for base glass effect. Apply backdrop blur for a frosted glass appearance. Add subtle border with slight white transparency. Combine multiple shadows for depth and inner highlight. Add smooth transition for interactive effects. Create hover effect for the glass card. Slightly lift the card and hover for interactive feedback. Increase blur intensity on hover for enhanced effect. Enhance shadows and add color border on hover. Style the card heading with gradient text effect. Apply white to color gradient for heading. Style the card paragraph text with good readability. Now create the glass button styles. Use relative positioning for pseudo-element effects. Style the primary button with accent. Use translucent accent color for background. Apply backdrop blur for a glass effect. Add border with color transparency. Style the secondary button variation. Use translucent white for secondary button background. Create sliding highlight effect for buttons using pseudo-element. Create gradient highlight for sliding effect. Animate the highlight on button hover. Style primary button hover state. Add glow effect using dark green shadow. Style secondary button hover state. Now create the statistics container layout. Allow wrapping on smaller screens. Style individual glass statistic cards. Use very translucent background for subtle effect. Create hover effect for statistic cards. Slightly scale up on hover for emphasis. Increase blur on hover for enhanced glass effect. Add secondary color to border on hover. Style statistic card headings. Style the statistic values with large gradient text. Apply gradient to statistic numbers. Now implement the glass model overlay. Use dark translucent background for model. Apply strong blur for a pronounced glass effect. Combine multiple shadows for depth and highlight. Add top accent border using pseudo element. Create gradient for top accent border. Style model heading and action buttons container. Style the modal action buttons container. Align buttons to the right side. Finally, create the glass footer. Use dark translucent background for footer. Apply subtle blur for consistency with other elements. Add top border for separation. Style footer text with reduced opacity. Let's check what files we have created in our project directory. Now open the browser to see our Glassmorphism effect in action. Hover over the glass card to see the interactive effect. Try hovering over the navigation links and statistic cards. Move your mouse over the buttons to see the sliding highlight effect. There is a blog post and PDF version of this tutorial with more details on our websites. Also, if you need videos and content packages like this created for your own channel, follow the first link in the description.